Hey, what's up? In today's video, you're going to see a live masterclass I did for the members of Client Ascension. Client Ascension is a private mastermind group with over 350 high-level B2B agency owners. And in this masterclass, I show them how they can triple their results and get killer results using cold email in 2023. So without further ado, let's get on into the video. What we're presenting on today is how to triple your results with cold email, consistently book meetings with your dream clients simply by sending emails. I hope at this point, everyone on this call, you guys should have some level of cold email going already, or you've at least heard of it. I would hope so. But hopefully you guys should have campaigns up and running. And so this is going to kind of be tailored towards how you can optimize, how you can get better results from what's already existing, and then also just other pointers that you should keep in mind when running cold email. If you're not running it already, just some stuff that you're going to need to take into account once you get it all up and running. So why you should listen to me. Been working with a lot of other CA guys. Recently, we helped Eamon book 8 meetings and close 3K a month deal this week using cold email. We helped another CA student book a meeting with Happy Dad. Another thing that happened this week. And then we helped your boy Dylan Rich, one of the coaches here, book 62 meetings in the first 60 days of running his cold email outreach. And he closed 20K worth of deals. And that's just like this, like right away, like a lot of the sales cycles, I'm sure you guys know, are going to lapse, and that's probably going to be more. So yeah, clearly you guys know, you've seen it firsthand if you're over here in Client Ascension, that cold email does work. But without further ado, kind of just diving into the first thing that I want to cover, that I think people kind of overlook and is something you want to make sure you're getting right straight off the bat, is mastering the deliverability basics. So before you try and do anything fancy, okay, I know a lot of guys, they hear Chat GPT, they hear AI, they hear the newest campaign. Before you try and do anything fancy, make sure you're just following like the best practices to making sure you're actually hitting the inbox in the first place. Because, you know, if everything else in your system is dialed, you're doing everything perfectly, but like something feels off, like you have the fancy scripts, you try doing all the fancy stuff and it's not working, it's probably because of your deliverability. You can check this by doing your inbox placement. You know, there's find at myips.io. That's Nick's tool. You can send an email to that and then reply to it, and it'll give you some results. Check your warm-up scores, check your overall KPIs. But you really want to make sure that you nail the deliverability basics. And I always like to say, like, err on the side of caution, follow the best practices, because if you mess this up, like legitimately nothing else will matter. If nobody's seeing your emails, then you're not going to be getting meetings because it's going to be in spam. Not only that, like even if they see your emails and it's in the spam folder, terrible look, don't want to be doing that. So again, it's always better to make sure you're doing everything safe and know that you're hitting the inbox rather than try to push your limits and end up in spam. So this is like diagram. I like to call it, you know, individually scaling versus horizontally scaling. If you're trying to really squeeze like the amount of emails you send per day per inbox, I think it's a bad idea. There's obviously, you know, best practices. I'll go into that after this about how many you should be sending, but it's better to just buy more email accounts, spread your infrastructure out rather than launching it all on one email and then burning it, and then all of it matters. Because I know it takes a lot of effort and time and energy to set up these campaigns, set up your copy, to dial your lead list. Like, you're learning all this stuff. But if you just make this one mistake, then it's going to ruin it all. And having strong deliverability, like if you're just getting your messages in front of the right people at a high enough scale, that's going to like deliver you really solid results. So some best practices to follow. Again, stuff that these are kind of like the basics, but I just want to make sure we cover it again, because if you mess this up, it'll ruin everything. So multiple domains, as you guys should know, multiple domains, less than 3 inboxes per domain. Ideally, less is more. A lot of guys, I know, run 1. You can do 2. I know some people that even do 3, but definitely don't do more than that. Please, please, please verify your leads. And I put this in all caps because if you don't verify your leads, you're going to burn your inboxes really quick. And I've seen that happen. Not going to name names, but I've seen that happen to other people. And I don't want that to happen to anybody. And it really shouldn't, because it takes 2 seconds, or you can just use ListKit. They verify it for you. The cold to warm email ratio. So like how many cold emails compared to how many warm emails are you sending? I would say 1.5 to 1 or better. So don't be sending, you know, more than 50% more of your warm-up emails as cold emails. Less sends per day is better. Again, don't send 200 emails per day per account. It's going to really burn your account quickly. And then limit the spam words that you have in your emails. I know we all like to use words like, free guarantee, money back, all these types of things. Makes your offer sound better, and you can use them sparingly, but limit them as much as possible, because, if you use a bunch of spam words, you're probably going to end up in spam. And again, if they don't see your emails, it doesn't matter if you have everything else dialed in, because they're not going to see your emails. So that's my piece on deliverability. The next thing I want to cover is quality and quantity. One works, but both are better. Both is better. Both are better. So yeah, these two things are like really two common issues that I see that can instantly help you improve your campaign performance. Quality and quantity. One works. One is easy. One is hard. I guess I'll restart. Yeah, both of them work. If you do both of them well, then you're going to get an insane amount of meetings. But the truth is if you even dial in one of these really well, if you're sending out really strong quantity or really strong quality, then you're going to be booking meetings. And then, yeah, the two things I'll say is one of these is easier and one of these is harder. The first thing I'll cover is the easy one. So yeah, more volume. How many cold emails are you guys sending right now? You guys can throw it in the chat. Yeah, we got 400, 500, 350, 300, 300, 500. All right, so yeah, these are pretty solid numbers. I wouldn't scoff at these. 300 per day per client. Again, not bad. You can answer this yourself. Like, how many meetings is that booking you? Let's say, 1 a week, 2 a week. Actually, let's throw it in chat. Let's go through a couple of these. Like, ballpark figures, how many meetings are you guys booking for yourself, per week or per month? Got 20 to 30 per month, got 40 a month, solid. 1 to 2 a week, 3 to 5, 1 to 2. All right, so not bad numbers. Okay, I'm sure everyone wishes they were doing more, but these are, again, not too bad numbers. 1 to 2 a week, 3 to 5 per week, 1 to 3 per week, 40 a month, 30 a month. Here's the craziest thing ever. Okay, I know this is gonna be groundbreaking stuff. What if you just doubled it or tripled it or 10x'd it? If you just, like, cold email is linear. It's the best part about it is, like, it's obvious with ads, it's obvious with every other channel, and it should be apparently obvious with cold email, but not everyone does it, right? If you spend twice as much on ads, you're probably going to get twice as much result. If you send twice as many emails, you're going to get twice as many meetings. If you call twice as many people, you're probably going to get twice as many meetings too. So this is the craziest chart you've ever seen in your entire life. The more cold emails you send, the more meetings you guys are going to book. It's a directly linear chart. If you guys are reaching out to 300 people and you are booking, 1 to 2 meetings a week, if you reach out to 600 people, you probably be booking twice that amount. If you reach out to 1,000 people a week, you probably be booking triple that amount. And if you reach out to, 3,000 people, probably booking 10x that. So this is like seriously one of the simplest and easiest optimizations you guys can make. If you're already doing something that works, just double the volume, right? Because that I see a lot of people, again, pour all this time, effort, energy. They build the scripts, they write the list, they build the system, they dial in their deliverability, and then they just don't push enough volume. And when you don't push enough volume, like, it's such a simple fix that you just add more firepower to what's already working, and then you're just going to get twice as many results. Like, it's not rocket science. So yeah, if you double the amount of people who are simply going to see your emails, you're going to be booking more meetings. So just send more emails. The one caveat I want to say here, obviously this sounds simple, and if this worked so perfectly, then I would have, as many inboxes as I can get my hands on, but some markets are only so big. So keep this in mind, that it doesn't work until infinity, because if it did, I'd be wanting to do that too. And if that is the case, that you don't have a giant market, tens or hundreds of thousands of people you can reach out to, then this is the harder one you should do, and you should be doing this regardless, is making sure your emails are as high quality as possible. So if you want better results from what you're already doing, or you have a market that's smaller, then you need to focus on this even more. You need to make sure that the quality of your outreach is absolutely dialed in. So the first question you might be asking is like, well, Matt, how can I make my outreach higher quality? Work, right? Unfortunate. Yeah, you have to put more time and energy into this, but the first thing that I would think about is like, what's the best kind of cold outreach you've received? Did it feel like it was speaking directly to you? And it definitely did, but if it didn't, then you probably haven't gotten good cold outreach for. But that's what a lot of people overlook in their emails, is the quality element. Is it every email the highest quality email should feel like, it's speaking directly to you. It shouldn't feel like this is something you sent out to 300 other people a day. It should feel like it's speaking directly to you because, you want to engage with other humans. You don't want to be speaking to a robot. So, do any of you guys know this movie? If you don't, I, Robot, Will Smith, robots taking over. Yeah, the robots try and kill other people. People don't like robots, okay? Nor do they like robotic outreach. And so you should try and avoid this as much as possible. It shouldn't feel like there's an AI trying to send you an email because everybody hates that. Nobody it's the laziest, worst form of outreach when you're like, this guy just sent me an email and like it's totally irrelevant to like who I am, and it feels like a robot just sent this to me. So like here's real examples of like DMs I received. For context, I run a lead gen agency, right? Hey, Matt, I noticed your expertise in performance-based B2B lead gen and your success in acquiring clients in cash. Impressive. We're actually looking for 3 established agency owners to give access to the same AI-powered client acquisition system that's blah, 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 blah. So this guy, clearly this is like AI. I know this is AI. There's who I know that's doing this. Like nobody speaks like this. Nobody reaches out to a lead gen guy and is like, yo, I noticed you have, expertise in performance-based B2B lead gen and success in acquiring clients. Like this sounds so robotic. And then the pitch is just lead gen to a lead gen guy. Here's another DM I received. Again, I love your focus on performance-based B2B lead generation and your dedication to maximizing cold email effectiveness. Like this does not sound like a human. This sounds like I'm being talked to by a robot. And when you get stuff like this, like it's instantly a turnoff. Anyone who's received cold outreach like this is like, man, like I know you just automated this. Like, why did you do this? And so try and make sure that you're not doing the same thing in your emails. It should feel ideally like you're feeling, directly spoken to. And if you're not invoking that sense of emotion, then you should just leave out stuff like this entirely. I'd rather just get in, a DM where it's like, hey, we're looking for the, even though this offer is not relevant, like, hey, my tool enables you to send this. Mind if I share more info? Like this level of personalization, like makes it worse. So yeah, you want to be focusing on sending high quality outreach messages, invoking the sense of humanity in your cold outreach. That's like that's basically what quality is. It should feel like, man, this guy just spent some time, looked into my business, knows who I am, and is giving me something relevant. And you don't want to make your message feel like it was automated, even if it was. So how do you do this? Segmentation. Obviously you can do AI outreach if done properly and executed properly. Unlike those 2 examples there, I'm sure it can work great. I haven't seen anything that's super, super killer at this point. So for now, I would say one of the best ways that you can do it at scale, making sure that you're sending high quality outreach messages, is through segmentation. So it's splitting up your campaigns into different sub niches and calling out those people in your campaigns. So yes, you have to make more campaigns. Yes, you have to be more diligent with your lead scraping. Yes, you have to put a little bit more work in, but this will definitely lead to better results if executed properly. So the goal here is to try and divide your campaigns into buckets that make your prospect feel like you're speaking directly to them, not to an audience, not to a bunch of people, directly to them. And the narrower, the better. So here's like an example of like broad to narrow. So on like the super broad end, there's humans. Everybody is a human. Americans, a little bit more narrow. Business owners, more narrow. E-com store owners, more narrow. D2C, dog toy store owners, more narrow. I don't know. I recently got a piece of outreach I wish I put in this presentation here, where someone's like, as a fellow business owner, like that. Yes, that's more specific than humans. They're saying, hey, I saw you're a fellow human. Like that, it's so lazy, and it just doesn't really convey. Like, better to cut all that stuff out, any sort of personalization like that out, rather than leave it in, because it just sounds cheesy and like, the person didn't do any actual work into figuring out who you were. But if you sat here and you're like, let's say you want to target e-com store owners, right? Instead of going through and just like scraping a big list of e-com store owners, you just try and go one level deeper. Go find, dog toy store owners, go find cosmetic brands, go find kids toys, go a little bit more in depth, because not only does it make it feel like your outreach is more human, you can even personalize the rest of the outreach to that person. And that stuff works effective, right? Like just think about it for a minute. If people put the extra mile in, like, hey, I noticed you were X, Y, and Z, and it was really accurate, and the offer was relevant, it's going to convert way high. Like, just think about it tangibly. What I want to encourage you guys to do is think about if you receive this piece of outreach. Like, if you saw, hey, I saw you're a fellow business owner. It's like, it's a little broad. Is it good? Is it bad? I don't know. Is D2C dog toy store owners better? Yes. So I would encourage you guys to do that if you're willing to put the extra work, effort, and time in, because it will yield you the better results. So, like the example I give, hey, I noticed you're a fellow business owner. Do you need help speeding up your site load time? Or, hey, we recently helped another D2C dog toy company name, speed up their site time by 4 times, increase their conversion rate as a result. So, like, even by the fact of like, okay, you segmented, right? So you pointed out saying, hey, we're talking to another company. You could go through your case studies, make stuff like this around your case studies. You can insert this customized snippet where it's like, okay, for this campaign, use this case study, and then tie back why this is relevant, right? So we increase their site conversion time. You might have this exact same case study, but if you're reaching out to people super broadly, then it won't be as relevant. So narrower the better. I would say don't make it too narrow. There's obviously a line like, hey, I noticed you went to Yale and you have 3 pet dogs and you live on ABC Street. Now we got on a sales call with me. Obviously there's a line. Obviously, you could spend all day doing this, and sometimes the best outreach, it is worth to go like full personal, not mass scale. However, if you're doing this at scale, I would at least try and go a couple layers deeper and encourage you guys to go a couple layers deeper than what you're already currently doing. Point 3, next optimization you guys can make, social proof maxing. So I'll illustrate this with a story. I was recently talking to one of my clients, and they offhandedly mentioned one of the best pieces of social proof they had. We were having a conversation. He's like, oh yeah, by the way, I just crossed the 7-figure mark with, whatever brand they're working with. I was like, really? Like, this would be really, really good for the copy that we're putting together. He's like, yeah, I think so too. Actually, whenever I go on sales calls with prospects, they tend to get really interested in this one piece of social proof and they ask more about this. So it's like, this is like one of the best pieces of social proof. And it was, one of the last things that he thought of when we were talking about his whole cold outbound strategy. The point I want to say here is, if you have something that sounds noteworthy, make sure people know about it. Like, it shouldn't be a surprise that like you got killer results. You should be yelling your results from the rooftops. So like, this is if you just made a company 200 grand from email and SMS, you should be telling everyone about it. It should not be a surprise that like, oh wow, this guy's like actually really competent and really smart and he gets really good results. You guys are killers in here. You're learning from some of the best. And so I know you guys have great case studies. You guys do really good work. Make sure that people know about it. Make sure the social proof is in your emails. It's on your landing pages. It shouldn't be a surprise that like, oh, wow, this guy's like actually really sharp, because there's a lot of people out there, believe it or not, that are paying other agencies doing the same work as you guys, but doing it a lot worse. And so when they, learn that you guys can provide real results, it, actually will get you more calls. So it should not be a surprise that you got insane results for your clients in the past. If you have something headline worthy, if it sounds like something that should be a headline, it will probably work well in a cold email. If you've worked with a recognizable brand, include that. If you got a noteworthy result for a client, include that. If you did something personally, like you as a human, it was outside your company, but it was relevant to your offer. Let's say you run an e-commerce email and SMS marketing agency. Let's say that you worked you worked in the e-com industry for 20 years. I don't even know if it's been around that long, right? Like, that's not a company thing, but that's personally still relevant if you're trying to sell this. Like, hey, I have a bunch of years experience, or if I've worked with over 100 clients, right? Stuff like that, that gives you social proof and sounds headline worthy, something you'd put on a resume that you're like, that's something that really is a flex. Again, should not be a surprise, should go in your cold email, and should be at least worth a split test. The next piece I want to cover, offer relevancy is still king. So yeah, make sure you're presenting the right offer to the right person, because this is going to do way more than any like cold email, AI hack, whatever ever will. So imagine you have these 2 scenarios. Which do you think will book more meetings? So you have scenario A, where you're reaching out to companies, you're saying, hey, we're going to make you branded toenail clippers for $50 a piece. and you send out 10,000 emails, or you have an offer where it's like, hey, we're going to advertise your company in Times Square completely for free, and you only send 100 emails. Which, you can put in chat, which one do you think will perform better? One that sends, 100 times as many emails, or the one that sends less emails but with a good offer? B, Times Square. Yeah, I mean, pretty obvious. I'd wager you're going to get a lot more interest in B here. Okay. This is a no-brainer offer. Hey, we're going to advertise your company completely for free versus, hey, I'm going to give you something that you probably don't want at an inflated price. Even though you sent way less emails, if your offer is, terrible versus a really attractive offer, you're going to have a massive difference. You're not going to need to send nearly as many emails. So this is the power of a no-brainer offer. Now, extending on this, pretty obvious. Here's another example. I'm going to make it super obvious again. Scenario A, offer. We're going to make your lawn care company an additional $90,000 in the next 23 days where you don't pay. You send 1,000 emails directly to lawn care companies. Alternatively, you send the same email at 100 times greater scale, but you send it to Shopify store owners, right? Again, which one do you think is going to perform better? You got scenario A. I would imagine that the rest would agree here. In this case, again, I'd wager that scenario A is going to produce more meetings. Why? Pretty obvious, but I need to stretch it out to make sure I'm illustrating the point, is that the offer is actually relevant to the audience. Yes, you're sending 100 times as many emails out, but your offer is tailored towards lawn care companies, not towards Shopify store owners. So even if, yeah, you can pump your volume, but you have to make sure that this is dialed as well. That your offer is, this is a really extreme example. We're sending an offer that's completely irrelevant to the audience. But if you're sending out Shopify store owners, completely irrelevant, you guys might be sending out emails to slightly irrelevant people. You might be sending out to titles that might be irrelevant. You might be sending it out to industries that might be relevant, right? You need to make sure that your offer is resonating with your audience and focusing on making a killer offer that not only the offer itself is killer, but that it resonates with your audience is going to lead to like an order of magnitude, like, 10, 100 times better results. Simply if you dial in stuff like how good your offer is and who you're targeting it to. Like, test this type of stuff out, because sometimes it might not be black and white. This example, super obvious. You're having a lawn care offer. It's going to be best towards lawn care companies. Sometimes, though, your offer might be, less obvious. If you run a staffing agency, let's say you might think, hey, I need to help, I don't know, healthcare companies, but you realize the healthcare companies are overstaffed. It's a bad example because I'm pretty sure they're understaffed. But in other industries, their problem might be leads. Like, every industry has their own problems. It's good to do market research, survey, actually talk to a variety of people and test different angles of like not only different offers, but different audiences, because you never know who might resonate with what you're selling, and it might be different than what you initially think. Number 5, another common thing that can instantly help you improve potentially 3 extra results from this alone is time to lead. So yeah, it's 2023. Everyone's on TikTok. Everyone's on short form. Our attention spans are fried. Everyone has ADHD. People are impatient. When you're performing cold outreach, you have to remember a lot of times you forget because you're just, you're pressing buttons, you're booking meetings. But again, the people you're reaching out to are cold. They don't know you. They don't like you, probably. They don't trust you. And as a result, any little inconvenience can be the difference between them entertaining the idea of a call or writing it off entirely. So here's an analogy to kind of illustrate this example. So imagine you walk by a restaurant, okay? And in passing, you smell some of the best smelling Italian food you've ever smelled in a long time, okay? There's spaghetti out, the carbonara is out, all the food is out there. You walk in, the restaurant looks completely full. But when you walk up, you see there's no host there. There's nobody there to seat you. You're just waiting there. You see all these tables full. You're just kind of waiting to see what happens. Okay. 5 minutes go by. 10 minutes go by. 30 minutes go by. It starts to feel like your stomach's eating you alive. Okay. How long are you going to wait before you feel like leaving the restaurant? You're probably thinking, like, is the host even going to show up? McDonald's might have to do. This is the same sequence of events that's happening in your prospects' minds when you reach out to them and you don't get back to them in time, right? They could be interested in your offer. You could have, the best smelling Italian food type offer where people are like, man, this sounds amazing. And if your offer is good, they're probably going to give you more leeway, right? If you went to Subway, and you're there for more than 60 seconds and no one's there, you might leave. Okay. But if you're in front of this nice Italian place, you might give a little bit more leeway. Either way, your conversion rate is obviously going to be higher when you respond to people quickly. If you're not there to greet them in time, like in the example of the restaurant, they might just become totally uninterested. They might forget about your email. They might go somewhere else. They might forget about it. They're like, oh, actually, I'm busy. They had bandwidth now, then they got tied up with a project. If you're not there to greet them, they might just become totally uninterested. And I'm sure you guys, like everyone else here, has been pitched. Imagine how much more convenient like the pitches you've gotten are if you just got an instant reply. You're like, hey man, what's the price? And then instantly, like 2 seconds later, you get the price. And it's like a good price and you get on a call. Or, someone you're talking to someone and you have like a question and you get an instant answer and they're like, hey, let's hop on a call to discuss. Let's hop on a call right now to discuss it. You might be like, yeah, I am free. But if someone sends you a piece of cold outbound, they don't reply for 3 days. You might have just forgotten about it. You might have already solved the issue. You might just not care. You might be like, hey, I hate this guy. He didn't respond to me. So again, time to lead. Cold email sending can be automated, but right now, as I've seen, the AI stuff that I've seen of like response handling, in my experience, hasn't been too good. So you should still be doing this manually, but this is a job that takes time. Please carve out 5 to 10 minutes every hour or two. Ideally, you should be responding to these people as instant as possible, but I'd say check in like every hour or so, max, every couple of hours, because getting back to people as soon as possible shows that not only that you're competent and you're capable, that you're a business owner or a sales rep who will get back to their clients quickly, but also it's just really convenience from the prospect's perspective. They're way more likely to book. So the goal, again, ideally, make sure people are getting responded to in less than an hour, ideally less, because this can make a substantial difference in how many meetings you get booked. Like you might be surprised. Some of the quickest responses I've gotten, like, I'm in front of an inbox, I get a response, positive, instantly reply to it, and then they get back to you instantly too, right? Other cases where that happens, maybe you don't reply to them, they forget about it, and then you're done. And then the last thing I want to cover, success with cold email, don't break anything. So obviously you want to be maximizing the results everywhere, but I feel like the best analogy I can give for cold email is it's like a bridge. Okay. If one brick is missing, if one little crack in the bridge is missing, then the whole thing can cave in on itself. So bridging the gap, right? This is what a good cold email system looks like. You have a good offer, relevant targeting, relevant copy, strong deliverability, strong response handling, making sure it's timely, and you're pushing good volume across the bridge. Like this is going to be making you tons and tons of money, and you're going to be getting all kinds of sales calls, more than you could ever imagine, especially for the price of cold outbound. Compared to a broken funnel, you get all this right. You respond to everything instantly. Your copy is great. Your lead list is great. Your offer is great. But if your deliverability sucks, they're not going to see it. So like you just spent all this time building this bridge, just one brick is missing, right? Or, you spend all this time putting together copy, offer, but your lead list is irrelevant. You're reaching out to people who just aren't interested in your offer, like the example I gave with Shopify store owners and, lawn care companies. So I would say the main thing I want to emphasize here is be diligent with this. There obviously, you can make mistakes and things will still work, but make sure that you're investing 90%, you put the 90% of the work in, put the extra 10% to make sure everything's good. Because that extra 10% of time where you dial in one more component, that one more issue, that one more fix can be the difference between you getting a ton of meetings and you getting, less meetings. So yeah, emails landing in spam, 90% less meetings. Leads aren't relevant, 100% of your meetings are unqualified. Copy isn't resonating, 90% less. So make sure, I want to emphasize, make sure you put in the little bit extra work to try and patch the holes so that you maximize the result from, all this effort that you put into building out these, systems. That's it for today's video. If you're looking to get more content on cold email and B2B lead gen, feel free to check out my channel, look at the other content I have there, and also subscribe to my newsletter, moreleadsmoremoney.com, down in the description. When you opt in, you'll get a free cold email masterclass. And also, if you're a B2B business doing more than 30K per month and you're looking to add more sales meetings to your team's calendar, feel free to book a call over at anivomarketing.com. We can have a chat and see if we can help you out and book those meetings on your calendar completely done for you. If you have anything else, feel free to drop a comment, and I appreciate you guys. Take care.